Welcome, weary hero! Come in and pull up a chair by the fireplace. Grab and enjoy a tankard or two of your favorite brew. Listen to your fellow Nephalem trade stories of their journeys throughout Sanctuary. Welcome, hero, to the Scythe and Shield.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Scythe and Shield Rebirth. Today's guest I have the pleasure of getting to know more today after just discovering him right before last year's BlizzCon, and I hope to get to know a little bit more about him at this year's BlizzCon. Welcome to the show, ThaPchild. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. Thanks, Dread, for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. In fact, when I was putting the list together for like everyone in our community and who I wanted to get on the show, I was like, you know what, I want to get ThaPchild on, like in the more earlier guest, because it's like I've been in Riker's chat and Blood's chat and Big Daddy's chat. I mean, they're like the old horses that are carrying I've been carrying the community for a while, but like, you know, I wanna get the new blood in here, or at least new, sure, or at least I will say new to me, because that is a thing.
yeah no, it relatively new. So I've been streaming Diablo for probably about 2 years, but as you know, most would-be streamers know, it takes a long time to get any kind of momentum on Twitch. So it took you know, my success was pretty fast comparatively, I think, to a lot of people, and I think I was a little bit a victim of timing. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into even a little success, but the time when I came in was right as a lot of the other big guys were kind of venturing out to try other new things, so it left a little window for me to kind of sneak in and say, hey, what's up, here I am. So it's been great. So thanks for, you know, reaching out and setting this up, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pleasure. I mean, really, not to try not to tangent, but like when I look back at like all the different websites and everything that I've done, like the cornerstone has always been really the community, and just I came into Diablo franchise in Diablo 3, and I had nobody to play the game with. So all these websites and everything I did was always really at the base level, just to meet new people.
Just the community. Yeah, I think that's true for me in the games that I play and almost everything. So Diablo is one of my favorite games because of its social aspect, more so than its gameplay mechanics and all that kind of stuff. It's a game that you can hop in with your friends and you can grind riffs. You can go casual, you can go hardcore, you can, you know, take it super serious, you can just lay back, you know, sip on something while you're just talking about your day. And that's what it's always been for me, is like, that's what sucked me in originally. I played Diablo 2 once. I played it one time when it first released. I played through the campaign. I don't remember hardly any of it, and that's it. I never touched it again. And then so my friends were getting hype about D3, and I'm like, okay, I'll do this with you. And then once we started playing together, I was like, dude, this is just fun. It's fun because we're all in, you know, back when it launched, it was like Skype, I think, is what we were using. So we were just getting a Skype call, jump in and have a good time. And it just has always been social to me. That's why I come back. So,
So, you know, we've gotten some information already. There'll be more there. So,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, but hey, no, that's fun. And for those playing the home game, yes, that phrase has reached its ugly head again this week. Season 18 started yesterday, and scheduling and everything. So, so we're trying to make this more like an hour show if we make possible, because adulting needs to happen, and then playing needs to happen.
Right.
So
I was up I didn't 24-hour stream, but I was up over 24 hours. I got up, went to work, came home, then jumped on stream for the thing, and by the time I went to bed last night, I had been up 24. So
yeah, I got to 21 and I was like, nope, I'm dead. I'm going to bed.
I'm sleepy. So
Yeah.
fun to do.
Yep. So with that, before we get any more ahead of ourselves, we're gonna
Mhm.
move on to the first segment of the interview.
All right.
Hail Nephalem.
All right, so here we are. So, briefly touched on some of these before, but we'll go a little bit more in depth with whatever you have. So, the traditional first set of questions, and then we'll probe deeper if we need to. Where does your name, ThaPchild, come from?
This is the age-old, man, I wish I would have picked something better when I was a kid name. So I am an older adult at this point in my life. When I was 13 years old, this is how long I've had this name. I've had this name for over 20-something years. I was 13 years old, and me and one of my buddies were at my house, and I had just gotten dial-up internet. I was one of the first people in my circle of friends to get internet at their house, and we were setting up Hotmail accounts. We were making email addresses, and I needed a something at hotmail.com, and I'm like, what can I make my email address? And so we were listening to Warren G Regulators, which, if you're familiar with the song, there's a line in there where Warren G refers to himself as the G Child. Warren G, G Child. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. My last name starts with a P. So I'm like, I'll call myself ThaPchild. Not connecting anything else other than my last name and Warren G's song. I was 13. So I put this together. That became my thing. My friends always called me P because of my last initial. There were a couple people who shared my first name at my school and even in our circle of friends. So we used to just use our last initials to differentiate each other. So they'd be like, hey, P, what's up? And the other kid's last name started with an S. So it was like, hey, S, what's up? I was P, he was S. And so that was just a thing, man. And I was always just called P. And so I think the first time I actually used it outside of my email was probably in the Dreamcast days, because that was one of the first systems I had that made me have an online name. And it was like NBA 2K and NFL 2K. They're like, make a user account. And so I was like, oh, just use ThaPchild. And that's kind of like just went from there. It was Xbox and PlayStation and Steam and like everything, battle.net, everything, even my characters in World of Warcraft back in 2004, it was like ThaPchild. So so that's the origin of where it came from.
Yeah. Similar boat, except mine was more like a morphing from a previous name, but that was back in the Perfect Dark GoldenEye days. So going back.
Yeah, like N64, man. So,
early to mid 1990s.
Yeah. So it's been a journey from how I got it, and it's one of those things where it's just like part of your identity. And I thought about rebranding it when I decided to get into content creation, but it was just like, just embrace it, man. It's who I've been for the last 20 years. So if people don't watch me or watch my content because of my name, I don't think that's going to be the make or break for anybody. Is really there. I mean, unless your name is like super offensive to people, I don't think that's gonna to really make that much difference.
Oh, offensive like XX Underlord XX69 or whatever.
Something that's got politics or religion, or is just derogatory against certain races or groups. Things like that. But you already know that. So if your name's like, I love pink flower kittens, like that's not gonna prevent you from being successful as long as you have good content, I think. So
All right, so moving along, how old are you, and what's your main profession, study, work, stuff like that?
How old, man? That is the question. I gotta tell you guys how old I am. I really don't mind. I'm 38, actually. 38. So, and I work in IT. I've been in IT since as long as I can remember. I had all the other crap jobs like most people when they're in high school and college. I worked at shoe stores, and I cut grass, and I weed eated, and I worked at a pizza place, and like all the normal jobs. But Eventually, once I got out of college, I landed a job in IT, and I've been super lucky and had a stable, nice career. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. Do you find like the IT field has I guess grown or has been more stable with everything that's been happening, or do you find it's like actually more competitive now?
It's getting pretty competitive, it feels like. I think I've been super lucky to have built. I think that the plus side for me is that a lot of IT professionals are extremely socially awkward, and they have a hard time communicating with people and expressing themselves and handling people. Whereas I feel those are some of my strengths. Like, I think I'm pretty good at making friends. I'm pretty good at understanding how to communicate with people to make them like me. And I think that's super important in the IT world, because if somebody calls you to fix their computer or whatever it is, servers, ideas, any project, and you can't and they feel awkward being around you, that's not going to be good for your career. If they're like, well, I can choose awkward John over here, or I can have, this guy that's pretty nice, I'm going to talk to him, and so I established relationships with my company, with the owners of my company and the presidents and vice presidents really early on. And we just kind of grew that relationship into a friendship as well. And so I've been super lucky and stable, but the market, I feel now, is in a place where, at least in the United States, outsourcing is a huge deal. And it feels like everybody's trying to get your job. I would say on a weekly basis, I have people trying to call my company and outsource my position. So it's good, I guess. It's hard for me to say to people yeah, get in IT. It's an awesome place. I don't know, sure.
It's one of those it's just the nature of the beast kind of deals.
Yeah, everybody wants to get into it. It was so lucrative back in the late 90s, early 2000s. All the high school counselors were telling kids go into IT, and then it felt like 5 years later there was this flood of people hey, I'm looking for a job, so really competitive, I feel like.
Yeah, it was riding on the success of SGs and Yahoo and GeoCities and chat rooms and all this wondrous new stuff that we can do with our time to waste it more efficiently.
Yeah, there's definitely a place for IT professionals, though. I mean, the technology drives the world, so
yeah,
they're always going to be needed. I think the generation coming up seems to be a lot more fluid than the older generation that's in front of us. So they can figure things out and they're able to learn better. So we'll see where it goes, but it's interesting. It's been super good to me, so I can't complain.
Yeah, no, definitely. Crossing the line from real life to the more, game related questions now. And you touched on it before. What was your first time playing Diablo? And was it due to a particular person that you knew or were a friendship with?
Yeah, so Diablo ever, not just Diablo 3, but Diablo ever. I saw Diablo 1 on PlayStation. I didn't really play it though. And then Diablo 2, so my best friend went to a different college than I did, but it was kind of close. And so we used to hang out. And so I remember the first time I saw Diablo, him and his roommate were playing on PC, and they were in a network game, just smashing stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. What's that? And I'm like, oh, Diablo 2 just came out. And I'm like, dope, I'm down. So I went and got my PC and I brought it over. And we had it set up in his dorm, so 3 of us had our machines set up, and we played through the campaign. They had already probably beaten it or been through the campaign, and were doing more end game stuff. And me being the newbie, we jumped in and we did the campaign. They made new characters, did the campaign together, and that was really it, man. I never touched it again. I was like, okay, cool, that was fun, and then off to other things. I was a big World of Warcraft junkie, so when WoW came out, those same group of friends and myself all got WoW, and that was just my life for the next for still today, but I remember playing WoW, and then I remember Diablo 3 finally getting announced, and the hype was building and it was going to come out, And Blizzard did a promotion where they're like, if you buy a year's worth of subscription time,
Yep.
then you get Diablo for free. And I was like, oh, that's dope. I'm going to play WoW for a year regardless. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, you know, and get Diablo for free. If it's cool, awesome. If not, who cares, you know? So that same little group of WoW buddies that I had, it was real life buddies. And then a couple people I had met through WoW, we all, you know, did that whole year time and got Diablo. And then the hype just built and built and built. And so on release day, you know, we're all sitting there, you know, error 36, and I think it was what it was, trying to log in and play the game, and we couldn't even play it. And but that kind of consumed me, man. When Diablo finally launched and it was playable and it was stable, like, it pulled me away from WoW for a long time. And it's kind of been that, and WoW have been my main games forever. And I just, you know, I flip-flop back between them. But as a content creator, I gravitated more towards Diablo than WoW, because I feel I was just better suited for that style of game. So
yeah, I have a very similar deal story. A friend of mine got me into, like, I always knew about Diablo, but I never played like an RPG before. I was late to the whole genre in general. But they got me hooked on WoW, and in fact, the friend who got me onto WoW, I beat him to 60.
Yeah.
And he was already like 15, 20 at the time, so there was a catch up there for never really experiencing an RPG in that matter, let alone. And yeah, I mean, it's just flip flopping between them every once in a while, and with Classic looming, the show will be out after Classic comes out, so this is a little this is like
it'll be
talking
a little bit.
Yeah, it's like we're talking about it not being out after it's out for you, the listener at home. So
well, we have 2 days until it comes out, and I don't know about you, but I can tell you my excitement and hype level is as high as it's been in years for a game release.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
The funny thing is it started off with me being like, that's stupid, I'm not going to play Classic. Who wants to go play Classic? It's exactly how it started. And then, like, over the last 6 months, it's like slowly chipped away at me until I'm at this point now where I'm like, I cannot wait. I can't wait for Classic. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. I mean, this is a tangent. We'll get back to the questions, I promise, listeners. But to share the same sentiment, like, a friend of mine and myself always had arguments about Classic and how WoW should Blizzard actually do it? How would they monetize it? How would they make it fair to retail? So you know, the main game gets its fair share and doesn't, all this like stuff. And then like Classic was now, so I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And like the last 2 weeks, I'm sitting there because I'm going to be playing with Drop on a PvE server. I'm sorry, I there's a little part of me that dies every time I say that, because I am that PvP server person but I'm like, man, I got like a 4.5-month-old, and who knows if I'm gonna have more than like 4 hours to 6 hours a week to play this game at this particular point. So I just don't want to deal with that. But I'm sitting in like Drop's Discord in his newly created WoW Classic channel, just like typing out like all the old stuff that people like have no idea. Like, oh, you have to train your skills. You have to buy your skill ranks. You have to train your weapon.
You have to level your weapons. Yeah.
You actually have to know, like, oh, that's an upgrade, but you can't use it. But you have to go to like from Thunderbluff to like Undercity to train, or vice versa, and then you have to weapon train it, and then you can use it, and then it's actually an upgrade at that point, because then you're getting the full impact of the weapon. The professions, the classes, all the little nuances. I'm sitting there just doing this. So I'm like, this is weird how like even after a decade plus, all the information is still there. All the acronyms are starting to come back. And I remember our server on Skull Crusher always had a debate like with the rest of the servers, because every other server calls Zalfuric ZK. We called it ZFK. And that was like our weird way of knowing, was this person from our server or is it from a transfer from a different server? And it was like one of those like yeah, let's go to ZK. I'm like, what?
No.
Like,
maybe
let's go,
ZK.
like ZK. It's like,
Yeah, it was ZK for us for sure.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you infidel, get out.
Yeah. It's a different time now than it was though when we played Classic, because when we played Classic, we didn't have YouTube. I mean, we didn't have, you know, YouTube. I don't even think came into existence until like 2006 or something.
No, YouTube
2005.
being a thing.
And it wasn't. It definitely wasn't the go-to that it is now for information and resources. And
No.
like streamers weren't a thing, so you didn't have people to watch to get better. And like, they're just the amount of internet like targeting and knowledge that's there. You know, you had Curse. I'm pretty sure we had Wowhead back in vanilla. I think we did. But it just like all these things. I think it'll play better and different. I think people will be a lot smarter this time around than they were back the original time. You know?
It'll definitely play a lot smoother. They're like everyone. Yeah, that's gonna be like another 10-minute tangent. But who cares?
We could derail this into a WoW Classic podcast so easily, especially us being vanilla nerds. But yeah, I'm excited for it, and I think it's gonna be fun. But Diablo has always been my more social game. I was a little bit more elitist with WoW, that I would, you know, I rated 3 or 4 days a week. I, you know, had top tier stuff. I would go do dungeons, but if people didn't perform their roles, I wasn't like, oh, it's okay, here's what you have to do. I was like, come on, dude, know what you're supposed to do. But
know your role.
Diablo, it's kind of like, yeah. In Diablo, I'm kind of like, it's okay, come here, I'll carry you, I'll show you how to do it. So it's the social aspect of Diablo is 100% what kept me playing that game, and it's just, you know, it's awesome, man. So
all right,
can't wait to see what they do with Diablo 4.
Oh yeah,
I have an idea. I bet we're gonna talk about that, so I'll wait.
Yeah, later. All right, bringing this train, bringing this hype train for Classic back to Diablo. Next question. What's your biggest hope for the franchise in general? It could just be like outlook. It could be something in the game itself. It could be like how I would say, get rid of Paragon and I'll be instantly happy. But that's just me. That's my opinion.
Yeah. So
but for you, what's your biggest hope?
I think Diablo 3 is at a place where it's kind of lived its life, you know, and for the franchise going forward, I really am ready for the next installment. I don't think there's much they can do with Diablo 3 at this point without completely revamping the game, which to me seems completely unrealistic. The end game consists of greater rifts, and that's really what it is. I mean, sure, there's bounties, and you know, but for the most part, it's like run rifts, run rifts, run rifts, run rifts, and breaking that monotony would be amazing. But how are they going to do it? Are they going to implement an entirely new end game scheme? What if that sucks? Then now you're stuck with this game that has this crappy end game scheme that there's really no support for. So like the chances of them ever changing anything are slim to none. And that's okay. Diablo was great, and so many games stole ideas from Diablo. The Greater Rift idea, I don't know of a game that did it before Diablo, but I can think of a million games that have copied it since. World of Warcraft put it in with Mythic Dungeon Plus. That's their version of Greater Rifts. Destiny has put it in with like their shoot, I forgot what it's called. I don't know. I can't remember right at the moment. But there are so many games that have put in and kind of borrowed concepts, loot ideas. I mean, you can. There are Vidocs I've read from other games referencing Diablo 3's loot system. So they did so many things right, and this is such a great foundation. But they need to take it to the next level, and they need a new game for that. So my biggest hope is that BlizzCon this year, which should be BlizzCon 2019. I hope that they announce Diablo 4. Even if it's something tiny, like just, you know, you got to give the fans something, some light at the end of the tunnel. And if they don't, I'm super scared for the future of at least Diablo's community until it is announced. So that's my biggest wish, man. I'm ready for the next chapter of Diablo's franchise, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's weird. Like after like I think it back about opening ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
This game goes, this game goes, this game goes. Classic team comes out. It's like, is it no Warcraft 3, and then it was like this weird it's almost like a gradient shift in emotions. Like everyone's excited because we're all anticipating Diablo 4, something big for Diablo 3, and like that anticipation, excitement slowly starts turning into like fear and dread and anxiety. And then Wyatt comes out and announces Immortal, and even now, like back when it was announced, like I was actually really angry at the community because my whole thing was like, it's Blizzard's convention. They can do whatever they want. Will they pay the consequences for their actions? Oh yeah, definitely. It doesn't matter, corporation or person, it still happens. And I was like really trying to rationalize, and it wasn't until a little bit before I did the episode of Scythe and Shield with 9 that I kind of figured out how I could at least empathize with a lot of people and why they were so angry about Diablo Immortal. And like feel like, okay, I understand. I don't have like my anger is actually misplaced. But to jump to this year, if like Diablo 4 isn't announced, like my feeling is it's going to be announced. There's going to be a trailer, there's going to be panels, and there's going to be a demo, because that's the only way Blizzard does things in its modern era, so to speak. From like Overwatch, really, it's sad to say, but it's like everything that went wrong with Diablo 3, all the other franchises have learned from and don't do. Like announce a game, comes out 4 years later. Have all these demo stations with stuff, and then it comes out later. I mean, you could say it was like the second time they learned a lesson from StarCraft Ghost, because that was really the first one, and then Diablo 3 came out, and then all this development
and even
happened.
Titan, which eventually became Overwatch.
Yeah.
Overwatch wasn't what it was conceived to be. That they just stole the models and the things from it.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. So going back to BlizzCon, and here's my point of view on it. So I was never vocally, bashed Blizzard like a lot of people did. I never got on that bandwagon, and it was really hard to not get on that train for a little bit because I'm super passionate about Diablo.
Yeah.
I spent a ton of money to go to BlizzCon expecting Diablo, and here's some of the things that I think that they mistreated their community, which justified people being so angry. When they released a hype trailer about the forges are burning hot with Diablo, etc., before they put a third wave of tickets on sale, right? That's when I bought my tickets. They released the video, got everybody hype, sold tickets. I'm like, oh shit, Diablo 4, I'm buying tickets. Went and bought tickets, and then they're like, oh, temper your expectations. And to me, it's like, whoa. You just told us that the forges are burning hot and put tickets on sale. And so we spent all this money, man. I bought plane tickets that were non-refundable. I bought hotels for, 3 or 4 nights, and then the BlizzCon pass. So for me personally, it was like, I think somewhere in the ballpark of $1,300 that I spent, and not counting food or anything, to go to BlizzCon. That's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, that sounds about average.
That's and there's people that came from all over the world, that spent way more than me. I'm just saying from my experiences. So so people didn't want a mobile phone game, and I think it showed a disconnect with Diablo and their touch of base with the community. Like they thought the community was going to react positively to this, and to me that shows how out of touch they were. And so that, I think, is a little justifiable for people to be upset. At the same right, man, I know like Wyatt is such a cool guy, and so for the reactions that he got and the way he was treated and targeted by all these other people on the internet and YouTube, they don't know him, but I've personally met him, and I know him, and I have conversations with him, and he's super awesome. So I felt bad for him, and I feel bad for the team of guys that worked on the game, because I know there's some awesome people that did it. I think they just did it in the wrong way, and if they would have saved it, like, we haven't heard a peep about it since BlizzCon last year, and I think it's because of the reaction. I think the game would be out had we positively received it, but
Yeah,
if
we're less. I think we're under the 70-day mark to BlizzCon. I mean, it's practically 2 months at this point.
Yeah, it's it should have already been out. And from all the reports I've read, the game was finished 6 months ago. They haven't released it. So if this was the thing, and they could afford to sit on it for a year, and Diablo 4 wasn't ready to announce, sit on it for a year. Like, and a mobile game has to be announced after a major product. And I think everybody's debated this or given their 2 cents on this, but they drop a D4 trailer, they throw Immortal after. Like, while you wait, you can play it on your mobile, and I think the reception is completely different, and people aren't freaked out about it. So.
Yeah, my thoughts on Immortal, and then we'll move on over to the next set of questions. Is I'm wondering if they did an overhaul of Immortal, because part of me, because again, it's like my expectations initially at BlizzCon versus like where I think the company and their reaction is now are in 2 totally different places, and not because I feel like I'm being naive. It's just like the writing is on the wall. Like, you can tell what the reaction is. I'm wondering if they've changed Immortal. Like, maybe they're going to make an announcement like, "Oh, here's Immortal." Everyone groans, and then at the end they say, "And we will allow you to play on the PC." Or if they've done changes like, "Okay, we've updated the game so you can actually play with a controller," like simple things. I'm wondering if they've gotten if they got that spooked that they wanted to keep the product, being Immortal, relevant and open it up to more people, and this is their way of extending an olive branch. Or in maybe like how we were always talking about a mobile game, like, okay, maybe it's a mobile game and it ties into the next Diablo game, so it's kind of like an extension. I wonder if they could be something like that, where it maybe play Immortal and somehow somebody helps you in D4. Who knows? Because there's always been speculation in D4 may be a prequel, but that remains to be seen. Hope, and to tell you the truth, I really hope Immortal does come out and it does have success, because when I think about what they showed up specifically with the wizard skills and the interactions between the ice crystal skill and the ray of frost, like, okay, you just put this giant ice crystal out, it does pulse damage, slows targets, and you shoot a ray of frost into it, and then it fractures the ray of frost, hitting multiple targets around the ice crystal. Like people look at that and they say like, oh, that's neat, that's cool, and like, okay, think about it again, and from a developmental and gameplay standpoint compared to D3, it's just the basic skill interactions. There's no legendary gems there. There's no set bonuses doing that. There's no legendary powers doing that. There's no even skill runes doing that. It is just the base skills. That's how much they've advanced the skills in Immortal. And like, I want that. I want more of that.
Yeah.
I want more of that and elevated for Diablo 4. And I'm like, I don't want that getting lost because of.
It's got potential to be a good mobile game, 100%. And we played it. We were at BlizzCon. We played it. Mm-hmm. It was good. It was polished. It was fun. So the fact it's not released makes me think that they did something. They're hesitant to put it out because the reception was so bad. I don't think they're gonna port it to PC. I think the game was developed for mobile. Like, you can. They have those Android ports to like Windows platforms that are they're usable, but I don't think that would do it any service. I don't think that would make people instantly excited about it. I think the only way to salvage this is to give us Diablo 4, give us a main developed for PC and console game, and then tack it on the end. And it could be I hope it's a good thing. I hope it's a great game, because the better it is, it gives us something to play, and it makes the competition level go up. If Diablo Immortal is an amazing phone game, like one of the best phone games I've ever played, then that sets the bar for other games in the future to continue to get better. So, I hope they do that.
All right. So we will move along to the more moving from the game to more of like community, your community, just in general questions. What got you into community work in general, whether and Diablo, but in general as well? Because I know for me, they were two separate things, and for other people, it could be, you know, they did something for this game, and then they moved over to Diablo. So I guess kind of both. If they're
community work like content creation, or community work as in like my community, like what I focused on with my growth, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Why not both?
So I guess what got me into content creation, so I guess for me it started more with Twitch than YouTube. Twitch, the interactivity with Twitch, being able to live hang out with people and just that thing. Once I discovered Twitch, I was like, oh, this is really cool, and I want to do it. Instantly, like, I can do that, I want to do it. And I didn't, though, for years, and I regret that. I regret that decision. I wish I would have started back in 2015 when I first saw it and discovered it. But it was just a thing where it's like, oh man, I can hang out and live stream and interact with people and have a good time, and it just looked fun. And I never really thought it would become what it has become. I thought it would, like, you know, everybody's goals start off, or at least mine started off super small. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna stream to Twitch, and if I can get 5 people hanging out in my stream every night, that's super awesome, you know. And then you get 5 people and you're like, oh, that's really cool. What if I have 10? And then it's like, oh, what if I have 20? What if I have 30? What if I have 100 or 200, 1,000, you know? So it just keeps, you know, your expectations just keep going up. YouTube for me was more of a, this is to help grow Twitch, you know? So like behind the scenes, I think any most successful Twitch streamers realize that growth on Twitch is impossible. You need to grow in other avenues like YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and like all these other social medias. The ones that specifically just focus on Twitch, I think, are limiting their growth potential. And so to me, it was like, man, I need things for YouTube. That's how it started. It started like, I need YouTube to help bring people to Twitch. And then once I started thinking about YouTube, I'm like, well, what is a market that's not really there? You know, like, what do people want from Diablo that's not on YouTube? And so for me, most of my YouTube success came from challenge rift videos, because every week there's a challenge rift, and on my streams, people struggle with the challenge rifts. And to me, as most Diablo veterans will know, like, I don't think I failed a challenge rift on my very first attempt, except for once. The only one I ever failed was we had a Demon Hunter one a couple of years ago. The Europe one was like some Wajudo build that was like ridiculously hard, and only a handful of people beat it. And the United States servers also had a Demon Hunter build that was ridiculously hard. And it took me 5 attempts to beat that one. I failed it by like a second 4 times in a row. And so that was the first one that was actually a challenge rift, so to say. I'm like, oh, that was kind of hard. So to me, but you know, people are coming in and they're like, I can't beat the challenge rift. I'm like, okay, really? So I started making these really quick videos, like, oh, this is how you do it. Just, you know, I don't sit here and read over every skill and ability. People can read, you know, I'm like, they don't need that. They want to know, what buttons do I click? So I'm like, go in, and I literally just say click 2, click 4, left click, right click. And people are like, oh, dude, thanks so much. I didn't need an explanation how to play Witch Doctor. I just wanted to know what to click to get the stupid challenge rift done, you know? And so that kind of became.
Didn't need a 30-minute build video.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, dude, I want to beat this and get back to my character, you know? So so that kind of became my thing on YouTube. And then, so once I'd kind of discovered that, I was like, oh, you know what? YouTube's kind of cool in itself, man. It's a different thing. Like, so Twitch is one kind of thing and YouTube's another kind of thing. And then I did some build guides and things like that. Like, my most successful YouTube video is a Z-Necro build, because it was one of the things that I saw in my streams where people are like, I don't understand how to play Z-Necro. I don't get it. And so after getting that question so many times, I'm like, all right, let me just make a really nice, comprehensive guide. Like, what are the questions I get asked? And prior to me playing it, what questions did I have? And I answered all those in a video, and then people love it. So that's kind of what got me into the YouTube side of things. And then another thing is Twitter. So like, I didn't use my Twitter at all until I started streaming. I just didn't use it. And it's one of those things that's grown on me, as Twitter is the place to me now that's like, it's just fun. Like, I like to get on, check Twitter and see what people are posting, what are we talking about, and it's kind of like a 2-minute, you know, time waste. Like, oh, I got 2 minutes, let me check Twitter, see what people are doing. And but the community side, for my community in general, like, it was just, I think my community focused on being helpful to each other and growing as players together. And a lot of people feel intimidated because a lot of people are elitists at Diablo, especially content creators feel like they're elitist. Like, I'm the best witch doctor, I'm the best demon hunter, I'm the best whatever. And if you don't agree with what they say, oh, you're stupid, you suck, you're not good, like, don't listen. And that elitism is still there. And so my stream isn't like that. Like, if somebody comes in, I never claim to be the best Diablo player. I think I'm pretty good, you know, but I'm not the best. And I don't care to be the best. That's not what burns my fire, is to be number one on leaderboards. I don't give a crap. I'm on the leaderboards every single season, usually on multiple characters, but I don't care if I'm like top 10 or if I'm top 100, you know, I don't care. But people come in and like, I can't even clear a 90, you know. It's like, well, I got you, man. Like, let me here, this is what you need, you know. So my thing is kind of like, it's a cool, casual, nice place to hang out, to learn how to play the game and to get better at the game. And I think as a community, we've done that so much. And we were talking about this last night during the seasonal leveling thing. Is I was in Discord with some of my OG community members to level with this season. And one of the guys was like, man, before I found your stream, he's like, his brother turned him on to my stream. And he's like, before my brother showed me your stream, I couldn't clear a 90. Like getting a 90 would have been my end game. And he's like, you know, and I probably would have quit the game not too long after I got 70. And he's like, now we're doing that in the first hour of the season. And he's like, it's because I've learned so much just from hanging out with you in the community. But the same is true for me, man. These guys have taught me so much. Like, I don't play Witch Doctor, never, and that's what I rolled this season. Rip. But I'm playing Witch Doctor, and I don't know how to play Witch Doctor, but my community does. You know, they're like, oh, here's what you need to do, or this synergizes with that, or you should do this and that. And I think that's what's cool, man. It's not about like, I'm the best, come watch me, you know, beat this and that. And it, you know, it's like that everywhere, I guess, where there's always the elitism and people bad mouthing other guys, but that's what I avoid in my community. And I think that's what's helped it grow and be so successful, you know?
Yeah, it's always nice when, whether you're part of the people or the person who built it, or you're just part of the community in general, just or helping to maintain it, you know, all people in between. So it's great when you have a community like that, and you can always like help each other up if someone's having a problem. Just like, what, like the game's not giving you like all the items you need. All right, fine, here, jump in my game. I'll run you through a lot of higher level risks. Hopefully you get lucky with RNG, and then we'll go from there, and then you should be better off. Like, stuff like that is always great to have, because it's like one of those things, like if you've had it for so long and you kind of forget about it, and then all of a sudden you're in a situation where you don't have it and you're like, oh, this sucks. That's when it's made really apparent that your priorities shouldn't always be, I need to be number one.
Yeah,
it's a bit like, I just need to be number 1000 and I'm fine. And you know, the people make the difference.
This conversation stems from me because I jumped in, so I'm not going to name any names. I'll leave these people anonymous, but I hopped into a stream 2 days ago, and the person that I was watching is a relatively new guy that's getting some success. And so I watch his channel and I see him bad mouthing some of the OGs, like OG streamers, saying that they don't know what they're talking about. And to me, it's like, man, this guy knows so much about the game that you're talking trash on right now that it's ridiculous. And like, his advice to any brand new player would be super well received by anybody. And he was saying that you shouldn't take advice from this person. And, you know, because this guy's like top 10, like, what are you talking about? So it's like the elitism aspect of it just drives me crazy. And That's what I think I focused my community against. It's like there is no elitism here. Like, yes, I'm a good player. There's a lot of people in the community that are good players. Yes, there are people way better than me even. But come here, we'll teach you the basics, and then when you get to the point where your knowledge is high enough that you're ready for like the top, #1 dude in the world to give you tips, at that point you're not going to need other people to give you advice. You're already going to know, like, all right, this is what I need to do, or this is what I need help with. Let me focus my effort. So to me, back to the community thing, that's kind of always been my thing, man. My community is a place to chill and hang out and have a good time and learn about the game and teach each other. Not just me teach you, like you guys teach me too. Like let's get better together, Yeah,
so. It's the age-old line. It's respect. It goes two ways.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's 100%. Yeah.
So with that, the last question of this segment is, what are some lessons that you've learned along your path, whether it be equipment stuff, streaming, community? Like, what would you say is probably like your top one or two lessons that you can impart some knowledge on that poor fool that's looking to get into this game right now?
Into the streaming game or into the Diablo game?
Whatever you feel is a bigger lesson you want.
Man.
Bigger lesson learned you want to impart.
I've learned so much streaming that I don't even know what would be the biggest, because I started off just doing it. So I think the biggest lesson I've learned is just hit the button. Like, this is the thing that I wish I would have done years ago. And a lot of people will tell you this. Don't worry about your equipment. Don't worry about anything. Just hit the go live button, because you got to start. Like, my thing is, like, think of it as you're going to run a marathon. You got to go to the starting line and start running to compete in the marathon. If you're keep going to Nike to buy shoes and whatever, Under Armour shorts and like all these things you think you need to run this marathon, like, just go to the starting line and start running. And then you can figure out things as you go. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. And then community for Diablo. If you want to keep Diablo fun and you want to get better at the game, then make friends. Like, get in a community, my community, your community, anybody's community. And if you're listening to this, you're probably already in one. But the Diablo community is awesome, man. That's where the game's longevity is for me, personally.
Yeah, it's one of those things when I reflect back on it from like the early days of the Moldrin and the Creparians and the King Condors and the Zillion OPs and all those people, and some of them had remarkably high levels of skill, and it's like, some of them personality wise, I could take them or leave them quite quickly. So when I think about all the people who are still in the game, quote unquote, for Diablo 3 as far as streaming community wise nowadays, as well as the people who've come up the last 2 or 3 years, I wholeheartedly, 100%, 1,000% will take everyone we have now.
Yeah.
Even if it's collectively smaller, using the most arbitrary of standards with, pulling in, 30, 40, 50,000 views, back in the early days versus now, it's not so much total for Diablo 3.
Right.
But the community itself nowadays is, everyone knows each other. Everyone respects each other. Everyone gets each other on Twitter and YouTube and calling out. I mean, it's almost like the Diablo 3 community isn't so much a community as much of like just one big ass family.
Yeah, we got a tight niche of people right now, and I think I agree. I think the things that make somebody successful are either on a content creation basis, are you're either super skilled at the game, like you have to be one of the best of the best of the best. That can get you success regardless of how your personality is. you either have to be super good at the game, you have to be super entertaining. Like maybe you suck at the game, but you're just entertaining to watch. And then the people who are going to be the most successful are the guys that are both. And I'm going to use an example here of Quinn69. You know, either love him or hate him, but Quinn's super entertaining to a lot of people. He's really good at the game. So those two things drive his success because he's better than most players and he's more entertaining than most streamers. So you put those together and that's a recipe for success. And I think there's a lot of guys that are try to fall in one of the two categories. Like me personally, like I don't have the passion to be a top 1% player. Like do I think I could? Maybe. If I was like totally devoted to Diablo 24/7, that's all I did, maybe. But I don't have that passion to be that. So like I'm gonna focus more on the entertainment side. Like, okay, well, I want people just to come in and have fun when they hang out. And so I think that's another lesson that a lot of people have is don't, a lot of people try to like be the best. It's like worry about mixing the both. Like be entertaining too. You can be good, but be entertaining, and that'll help carry you a long ways. So
yeah,
but
sure.
The community aspect of it, I agree. I think a lot of the guys we have now are super nice, and just be nice to people. If you're nice to people, you'll make friends. It's like
it's not a hard concept.
Yeah, 2 years ago, Leviathan and Bloodshed and Riker and Wolfcrier and like all these people, they had no idea who I was, right? But I was just nice. I was just like, hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? I'd stop in their stream, be like, hey, how you doing? Talk with them, hang out, watch their stream for months before I even talked, because I didn't want them to be like, oh, this guy's just trying to use me to grow his channel, and which you see a lot. But just understand who they are and then just talk with them and make a relationship. And if you're nice, man, it's easy, but if you come in bad mouthing people, then you're going to make enemies, and you don't want to make enemies in the directory that you're trying to make your home. Like who wants to have an enemy living in their house? Like make friends, so.
This has been a lesson in how to human 101.
Yeah, it's hard, it's hard to human on the internet, I guess,
Yeah.
So.
All those whippersnappers and internets talking on the AOL chat rooms.
Right.
That little yellow guy always running but never getting to the finish line. Anyways. All right. So with that, we've gained a wealth of knowledge on you. So we're gonna close this segment and move over to the next one with some interesting questions.
Okay.
7 deadly sins.
Alrighty, so in this segment, 7 deadly sins are 7 questions for you, and they can be anything from anything. It's meant to be quick fire answers, so don't try to draw this out to try to save your ass, so to speak.
Oh man, I'm nervous. All right.
And but it's quick, so the pain starts, it comes out quick. It's a explosive diarrhea. It happens very quickly,
man.
Then you're good.
Okay, let's go.
All right,
let's do it.
So question number 1: what car from the crew would you love to have in real life?
Oh man, the Devo, the Bugatti Devo.
All right. If you had to play Alliance, what would you play? There's only one right answer.
Oh man, all Alliance are scumbags. I refuse to answer.
Good boy. Good boy. I like that horde. Give me horde or give me death. There we go.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Next question. Is there any more funny tales from the PYFE stories that we don't know about?
Oh man, I'm sure there are many. If you guys don't know, my wife read a love letter that I wrote to her like 15 years ago out loud to my stream on my birthday, albeit it was a birthday present to the stream, I guess. But
Cheers.
I'm sure she has some. I'm scared. She hasn't been back on my stream since, but maybe for my birthday this year, I'll get her back on, and I'm sure she will have something really embarrassing. That was not scripted, which was why it was so funny. I had no idea she was going to do that to me. And it was probably top 3 or 4 most embarrassing things in my life. Yeah.
because of course anyone who comes on the show who has a YouTube channel at all, I go what I call dumpster diving through the videos. I'm like, okay, what do they do? Did they start like in this weird ass esoteric game and then moved over to like, what's this video? Oh, this is funny. Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, so moving along, why bacon?
It's delicious. It's just delicious, man. I don't know how else to answer that other than it's so good. So I just love it.
All right. If your bud, Lord Fluffy, was actually fluffy, what would he be made of?
Oh man, what marshmallow? Like, you know how you can buy a jar? It looks like mayonnaise, but it's marshmallow fluff. What is that stuff called?
I think it's actually called fluff.
Yeah, just that's it, man. He'd be made of marshmallow stuff.
Okay.
So.
Now the sixth question is the same question, just tooled differently for each person. So I will read out like this: Diablo 4 is announced, and it is glorious. Who is the first person to get called a basic bitch for doubting it?
Oh man, for doubting it's gonna be good. I'm gonna call Muggle the basic bitch because that's just her tag, you know. She's gonna be the first one. I don't think she doubts Diablo 4, but that's definitely her tag. So I'm gonna use it.
All right, and the last question is, what mistake from last year's BlizzCon do you hope not to repeat this year?
That I made or that Blizzard made?
No, you. No, nothing Blizzard related. You.
What mistakes did I make at BlizzCon? So last year's BlizzCon, I don't think I booked. I should have stayed. I should have flown in a day earlier, and I think I should have stayed a day later. So I would extend my stay. I feel like.
That's what it took us 3 years to get Leviathan to realize. Come in on Wednesday, and leave on Monday.
So here's my problem though. Halloween is the day before BlizzCon. Like it's horrible. I have kids, man. I gotta take my kids trick or treating. Like I don't understand what Blizzard wants me to do here because I can't be the only person that has young kids that's going to BlizzCon. So I'm really angry at them right now because I would have flown in on a Wednesday and I probably would have stayed till Monday. But now that Halloween's Thursday, BlizzCon starts Friday morning at 11. Did it start on a Friday last year too? Was it Friday?
It's always Friday and Saturday.
Is it? Yeah. So I don't know. Like they should have postponed it a week. But...
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I think I'm gonna end up staying late this year just to try. But the come in early thing, I don't think it's gonna happen, man. It makes me sad. So.
Well, good. We'll remember if you're staying later because our group always tends to get in on Wednesday, and we all tend to leave Tuesday. Like like BlizzCon has become its own mini vacation in a sense.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to. Hotels are expensive, so maybe once BlizzCon's over, maybe I'll like find some ghetto hotel, like a couple minutes away, dude. Because those rooms are crazy.
Oh, I'm the travel agent for our group and have been the last couple of years, but. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll talk about that more in the next segment. So
yeah.
So okay. you survived. I hope you enjoyed the questions from French left field, as I say.
You threw in a crew question in there. That's you know.
See, I watched the stream when you're not playing just Diablo. See, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Queuing Wayne's World.
Hear ye! Read all about it. The burning times.
All right. And here we are, the last segment, which is aptly named "The Burning Times," and this is where I proverbially kind of give you a little bit of the starting reins of this segment because this is for you, the guest. If there's anything in particular that's grinding your gears, so to speak, and that's actually kind of punny when you think about it long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there's anything you feel needs more attention, whether it be the game itself, the community itself, something that you feel needs more love and attention, this is where I kind of say, let you go with it. So is there anything in particular that you want to bring note of?
Yeah, you know, I think most people kind of know where the state of the game is, and myself even, I love Diablo. Probably as much as 99% of the world out there, but there's the the small number changes and balance fixes that we're getting doesn't feel like that's enough to me to keep the game alive. Like we need either the next installment really quick, or we need something major to happen in Diablo 3. So I guess to me that's the age-old question that I keep getting. You know, every time I stream Diablo, dead game, you still play this game, lol. You know, things like that. And those guys don't bother me because they're just there to talk trash. You know, that's fine. It's what fuels some people. But that argument a year and a half ago, I used to be like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you talking about? You're in a Diablo stream, look at the game, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm kind of just like, yeah, move on. You know, it's getting harder and harder for me to argue that, because it's like, yeah, you know, I see the game dwindling. So I hope that they can give us something. I think we need more Diablo franchise. I don't think there's a fix for Diablo 3. I think we just need 4. So
yeah, I mean, this is where I try not to say, oh yeah, this podcast is all about me and everything I've done, but something with me, and for those out there who have actually, maybe I'll put a link in the YouTube description on the website finally, because it's still out there. It's you can still read it. After doing my latest development hell article, which article is a very loose term. It's a freaking thesis paper. It's like 16,000 plus words, for crying fuck out loud. After doing that, I realized ever since, I mean, you know, having a child and everything changes your perspective on things. But like after doing that, which took 2.5 months, like I started it December 2nd, I posted the article mid-February. Yeah. Doing that, putting myself through the rigor mortar of like a developmental point of view, saying like I almost had to take like a mental hammer and bash the player perspective out of me and build this niche for a development point of view to be put in there and be like, all right, I have a thing against Paragon that people just dismiss because at the end of it they say, ooh, my number, what do I go for? I'm like dipshit, we're talking about the next game, and but it's like, and also think about this is a simple question about Paragon and how bad it is for the game. What happens if there was a second expansion and people are going into that expansion with 4,000 or 5,000 Paragon points? Everything would be invalidated. It wasn't going
reworked. It would be gone.
It wasn't like, you know, Diablo 3 to Reaper of Souls, where you had maybe 100 points and it was separated over 4 categories, where the original Paragon 1000 player who came over because he had 10 characters all at 100, I think he was Paragon 438 when Reaper of Souls.
Is that how that worked? I don't even remember. So when Vanilla had a cap of 300 Paragon, if I remember correctly.
No, Vanilla, it was per character and it was capped at 100. But the thing is, they made a different experience curve for Reaper of Souls compared to the Vanilla experience curve, and then they just did like a one-time experience total of, I think, of all the characters Paragon. So if you had 10 characters in Vanilla, all at different Paragon rates, they added it all up and made it the new account-wide Paragon in Reaper of Souls. But it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, they definitely restructured it at one point, because I for some reason 300 is stuck in my head. Maybe that was initial Vanilla launch and then they restructured it. I don't remember.
You may be thinking of the Magic and Gold Find caps, which was 300 because you got 3% Magic Find and Gold Find per Paragon level. That's what I'm thinking of. 100%. The gear cap, but because it was
I had a bar of Max Paragon for sure in Vanilla, and maybe other characters. It's been so long, but yeah. So I'm with you. Paragon, and conceptually makes sense, kind of, but it's bad for the game in practice. Like it needs, if an expansion came out, Paragon has got to get reset. It's got to get wiped. There's no way.
And there's other things. I'm like, technically they could fix. Like I could tell you right now how they can make Paragon work in Diablo 3, and it would actually, no group would be negatively affected. Really, at the end of the day, to tell you the truth. It's a matter of, would the developers feel okay taking away precious numbers from people, and then the community people who are top dog grinding 3,000-4,000 Paragon per season, would they feel okay having to be more competitive? I mean, that's what it really boils down to. But it's just a sense of, but after doing that article and then looking back at Diablo 3, I mean, we just got that I mean, quite frankly, bombshell blog post about the future of Diablo 3, where it's like, okay, engagement for seasons has been up ever since the Necromancer season 12, I think it was, especially with the seasonal themes that they're coming up with more unique seasonal themes that they're working on, plus
this Triune theme is fun. I enjoy it a lot, actually.
I didn't think much of it initially because I didn't get a chance to PTR it. I'm like, oh, okay, Oculus circles. But you know what? Leveling yesterday, like, no, man. My channeling, give me that green circle. Give me it now.
It's such a small thing that really impacts what you do in the game, because now you're actively always looking, like, where's the circle? Can I make it in time? Like, it gives your brain more things to process when a lot of times things would get monotonous. It's like, okay, oh, there's a purple circle. Can I make it in time? Nope, I can't. So I'm going to go for this one instead. And you're just constantly having something else to prioritize and do. And I think it's fun. You know, is it game changing? It's powerful a little bit, but it's not. No, it's just fun to me. Yeah. I like it.
So. Yes. So with like the seasonal themes and the new set per class, which means a new set dungeon per class. Sorry. Yeah. Not sorry, I guess. And the dozens.
Maybe you think they're gonna do the set dungeons for those?
Oh, they have to. Otherwise, they're like, here's a set, but if you really like it, it's really easy. Sucks to be you. Sucks to be you if you can't use that for any of your conquest or stuff like that. You.
I agree that it should have a set dungeon. Will it? That's the thing. Will it?
Oh no, it will. Man. Like it's like I'm betting you like $100 I don't have right now that it will be, because then it doesn't make sense. I mean, this isn't like an achievement deal where it's like, okay, Necromancer came in, so they didn't go back to the Diablo 3 achievements and kind of retrofit it. But no, this is a set, so it's good. That's the reason why they probably didn't do the sets earlier than they wanted to, because they realized new set equals new art assets means a butt ton of development, QA, plus the set dungeons, which requires more Q&A separately to make sure that the set dungeons actually work. It's involved.
I think things are going to be recycled a lot. I just don't think that Blizzard has developed or dedicated developers on Diablo 3 enough. I mean, maybe they got a couple guys that have been busting their butt for a couple months now, a couple seasons even, trying to get these sets out. Maybe these are reused assets from the expansion that never hit, that got canceled, the second expansion. You know, I don't know. I'm okay with there not being set dungeons. Like, if they were like, hey, we have sets, we don't have set dungeons. You want the sets or not? I'm like, yeah, give me sets. Like, you know, I hate set dungeons, if I'm being, you know, completely honest about it. I don't like them.
I don't think you're alone on
that. Yeah, I don't think they're fun. So I think some of the big, you know, to me, this is a topic that I've talked about a lot. And I think a lot of people overlook the difficulty in developing the game, and we don't even know how the engine's built. So like a thing is as simple to us as adding a new set or a new set of legendary gear for a character class could involve, you know, months and months and months of coding. And for us, we can come up with a concept in one day, but the coding and the execution of that can be a completely different nightmare. But an example, something that I continuously go back to for easy wins in the game, like you could put in, they have the old, remember when you got a greater rift key and you had to level your key up to like open the rift?
The Realm of Trials.
Yeah, the trial, whatever that little island thing was. Like, make that a survival mode where you can launch it. It sticks you in naked. You start at wave 1. You kill things. They drop weapons. They drop loot. You put that loot on to then continuously go up. and build out your set, build out your character. So like in between waves, let's say you get a 2-minute timer or a 3-minute timer, or maybe you just have to click start for the next wave to happen. But keep doing that and make that more like a survival mode. And like a lot of the assets are already in there. They'd have to code out the portion where it's like, you know, drop your character in naked. But other than that, it's like you could make your skills and abilities and see how far up you can climb. Those kind of things. There are so many easy wins that they can do in the game, and I hope they do give us some of those things, you know.
Yeah, I heard you suggest that on your podcast, The New Meta, with Lord Fluffy. When Leviathan was on, I'm like, and I legitimately said to myself, I'm like, that's like the first good community idea I've heard for a new mode in ages. Like, I was going like, it's not just this stupid wave mode concept, or it's not this endless dungeon. Because it's like, you want an endless wave mode? Go. It's like taking like a kill 100 curse chest and just making it longer. Like it's
it would get so boring.
And then people are like, oh, I want an infinite dungeon. It's like, okay, go do a GR level 1, kill a Rift Guardian, and then go do a GR level 2, and then a 3, and then a 4. That's what you're asking for. You want this like massive 100 level endless tower. It's there. You're already doing it.
The replayability from this concept comes from the fact that you start naked every time. And so every single time you went back and redid this, you're going to get different drops. And that's going to do a couple things. It's going to force you to think outside the box. You're going to say, what pieces of equipment do I have? How can I make this work in order to get the next level? And then let's say, like, you know, you got 4 pieces or 5 pieces of Tal Rasha. You've cleared up to like wave 40 and you got 4 or 5 pieces of Tal Rasha. And you're like, dude, I just need one more piece. And then you get that piece. The hype level that you're going to have from that is oh my God, this is great. And then the next run, you might only get to wave 10 because you get all garbage, you know, who knows? So I think that could be a really fun thing. And I've actually been kicking this idea around for like almost 2 years. I've been saying like reuse that asset and build this, you know, naked trial mode.
Well,
but that could be impossible to code, you know.
Well, if you ever formalize the idea or do a video, I'll lend my support, because because we need something different to do, because they kind of sum up the whole my viewpoint on that blog post was everything they said was great. I do not want to take away from that. Excuse me. No misunderstandings. I love everything. Should have had that sip of iced tea. I love everything they said. I love that there's new items coming to the game. There may be potentially new ways of playing old builds, new builds, along with new sets, along with what I am most anxiously waiting for are the 2 little things that kind of got tacked on to the end. The quality of life improvements, and more importantly, the system updates. Because after doing the development hell article, I was more or less at a point where it's like, the game is fundamentally feature complete. If you try to think of something to put it into the game, I bet you it already exists at least 50% of the way there. And if you try to change anything in the game, you're inevitably going to change at least a half a dozen other things, most likely for the negative, because everything in the game is so tightly constrained to something else. The balance gets all wonked out. It's like a spider web. You pull one string, the whole thing collapses because it just is that concentrated. But when I look at that blog post, I'm like, I'm excited, but I was thinking like, how can I express this on the podcast where it's like easy and simple and people understand? And I figured it out. With things like sets and items and legendary gems and stuff like that, those are different ways you can play the game. With modes like CRs or Rifts or GRs or Wave Mode or Your Idea, those are different ways to play the game. And if you need a better example, it's like, I'm going to play multi-shot okay, so I'm gonna get in this Toyota, so, and that's the vehicle I'm picking. But
Yeah.
that vehicle is still on the same road of doing riffs or doing GRs or doing CR if it happens to be in there. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
hop into my wizard and play Veers. Okay, so I'm playing a nice little Prius.
Right.
I'm driving a Prius, but I'm still driving on the same road of riffs and GRs and CRs. The game isn't really suffering so much from a lack of vehicles, be it items or sets or anything, even though there's plenty of issues there between sets, non-sets, LON, and all that. It's just that there's not enough roads. We're driving on the same damn road for the last 7 years to work and back from work, and we're sick of it.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. That's my end game. So when I reference end game, I'm talking about your roads. And so the thing is, though, like, let's just say right now we're on a safari, right? And we've been driving this dirt road back and forth to work every day. If Blizzard comes in and they build us a highway, and we're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. But now they've just eliminated those dirt roads. And so whatever new end game function that they put in the game, it's got to be amazing, because it's going to probably replace Greater Rifts and Nephalem Rifts. And I think Greater Rifts at its core is one of the best fundamental ideas any video game developer has ever had. And so to think of something that would surpass that as end game content forever would have to be amazing. So it has to supplement. It has to be something that can go next to Greater Rifts, but not be garbage, you know?
Yeah,
And that's hard.
Yeah, because it's like, because that's where I get somewhat stuck, because I came up with a I would say more PvE solution in my article, but I still had Greater Rifts in there because I understood that there are just some people who just want to bash their head against the wall and waste 200, 300, 400 keys in a day fishing for that one rift that's only going to be that one rift that's going to work for them in that build. And they know they know when they get it, and it's just a matter of them mentally saying, "Don't fuck this up."
Yeah.
And but I truly understand that, but at the same time, it's like what else could we functionally do? And then that's when I knew I was at my limit of ideas, and I'm like, yeah, this is where I just say, this is what we're looking for. Good luck, developers.
Yeah,
This is why you get paid the big bucks. You're working there and I'm not.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at, man. And this is the age-old question, I think, for every game, right? So if you look at the success of something like Fortnite or Apex Legends, and even PUBG, I guess, H1Z1 started it. But these battle royale game modes, it was fundamentally, conceptually a new idea. And that's why they blew up. They didn't exist before. Before, it was all team-based, elimination style competitive games. That's what it was. Counter-Strike, CSGO, all these old tournament style or elimination style games. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, H1Z1 kind of started it, but Fortnite really exploded it. Like when it came out and it was free and everybody could try it, it just changed things. And that's what we need, but not from a first-person shooter or maybe even a shooter perspective. We need something like that in the ARPG field. We need this idea that I don't have. I wish I did, but we need this idea that's just like, oh my gosh, that's so unique, that's so new. Why did we never think of this kind of game mode before? And it doesn't have to be PvP. It could be PvE even, but something out there that's just, you know, and that's what Diablo 4 has to do. I don't think that's a Diablo 3 thing. But when Diablo 4 comes out, they need to have some kind of game mode that we've never seen, you know, and I hope they kill it. And like examples of things that, like, Destiny tried something like this. I'm a big Destiny fan as well as WoW. And Destiny had this game mode they called Gambit, and Gambit was PvEVP. And it's a lot to get out there, but you're doing PvE, and then opportunities prevent in this PvE environment where you can go to the other side and fight and kill your opponents to prevent them from doing their PvE. And whoever kills their boss first wins. So conceptually, think about, there's no PvP in Diablo. So let's say in Diablo 4, there's some kind of PvP system, whether it be arenas like WoW or a battleground like WoW, you know, just to steal those concepts. But what if they had like an Altric Valley style thing in Diablo 4, where you're ARPG, you go into this zone, you're fighting PvE stuff. But way on the other side of the map, there's another team. And like somehow you can venture over there and kill them every now and then, or fight them, or slow them down, or do other things as you're trying to kill your Rift Guardian or do your boss. And I think those style of game modes, because Diablo has no PvP, it's all scripted. Everything, all your interactions are kind of scripted. PvP brings this element of replayability that we don't have in Diablo, because every game is unique because of the players you face and the way people handle the situations. And that's why on World of Warcraft, you can go grind mythic dungeons and stuff all day. But man, sometimes it's nice just to hop in Warsun Gulch and just go ham, you know? And it's because you don't know what you're going to get. Sure, you know what Warsun Gulch is, but you don't know what you're going to face in that game. So I would love to see some kind of PvP in Diablo 4. That's you know, because it would give us another avenue to keep us in the game and keep us playing.
Yeah, no, I agree. The fabled, when's patch 1.1 coming?
Yeah, they talked about PvP, man. I found the videos, I dug them up one day because I'm like, man, I remember them talking about PvP in Diablo 3, but never happened.
And then
on the same same note, going back to Fortnite, how do you feel like, so Diablo 3's big failure, in my opinion, was, and I think this was the catalyst for everything that's happened to it, is the auction house. I think the auction house was designed as a way for them to monetize Diablo 3 and continue to support the game forever. And it didn't work. The auction house was fundamentally a bad idea for the game. And then once they had to remove it, they lost their funding because Blizzard got a cut of all that auction house money, and that was gone. And then it's like, well, we don't have a store in the game, we don't have anything else, so boom, you know, they got to monetize D4 somehow. They got to have that revenue stream coming in to keep paying developers to produce good content. Cosmetic shop, items, skins, not power. Man, they know they can't do power, but
I mean, if you actually want my answer to that, I don't think the auction house necessarily was the single biggest mistake with
there were
Diablo
a lot
3.
of mistakes,
or the catalyst, as you put it. I think the real catalyst, and it's like one of those like I hate to say it because I know what it means and I don't mean it harshly, but I think the real catalytic problem for Diablo 3 is too little too late, because Diablo 3 took from when they showed it off at the Worldwide Invitational in 2008 till its release in 2012. That was 4+ years. And it still wasn't done. I remember like everyone like says, oh, like Diablo 3 got scrapped like 2 or 3 times in its development. Like, yeah, and I was in there in beta phase when they scrapped the main stat system twice. They never properly tested the auction house in the beta phase really at all. The skills were, like about halfway through, you knew probably weren't going to be balanced because they kept on swapping out the skills like every beta patch, but they were being tested at the wrong levels. So Archon was being tested at level 7. So no, you weren't getting Archon at 7, and there was no way properly testing its damage against low level mobs. It had to be tested at higher level. And then like the gem system, and then the rune system, the way it was, where it was much like runes were going to drop and they were going to really alter your skill. The biggest one I can relate is Arcane Missile is like, there was going to be a rune that was going to make it a fucking AoE thing. You can shoot like 10, 12, 14 missiles and AoE around you. Like there was going to be some real severe alteration of your skills. That system was always in play and never made it to the beta, and then it got scrapped for the World of Warcraft inscription-like system that was coming out, because, well, it was easier. They could lock in the choices. It was easier to develop, easier to balance, numbers, blah 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 blah, elemental, blah blah blah, done. So
Yeah.
and then like, you know, other things like, you know, monster power, Paragon coming in really late into the system, not the Inferno being too hard, or not adding anything really of value, so to speak, and then going there. So I think that's the unfortunate thing, and unfortunately, I think my biggest hope for Diablo 4 is that it doesn't require an expansion to fix it, because Diablo 2 took Lord of Destruction, Diablo 3 took Rebirth Souls. I do not want Diablo 4 to require Diablo 4 EXP-1.
I think a lot of games have that thing, that downfall though, because like for me as a big Destiny fan, Destiny's year 2 patch, the Taken King, fixed the game, you know, and so it was the exact same for it, and it's the same for Destiny 2, man. Forsaken fixed the game. So like I think that's the thing, is they take these missteps, and and a lot of these companies, the game is so deep and so big that it's reactionary. They're not foreseeing the future, they're Reacting to the player base's things, and then the reaction time's too slow a lot of times. But I think I guess my point was that without the monetary portion built into the game, once the publisher, you know, Activision in this case, gets their 30 million units sold, they're like, hey, we won, all right, next project, scrap it. You know, they're like, well, no, why are we going to invest? Why would we invest $10 more million into this project? Like, we're not going to make that back. The players have already bought the game. You know, we need an expansion to fix the game. That's going to give us more money. You know, people buy the expansion, we make money. If there's an item shop or skins or something that's like, you know, people are like, oh, we love the game, fix it, you know, but this skin looks really cool, I'm gonna go ahead and buy that. And they see that influx of money still coming in, and they can pay for things. At least that's my thought. I don't know, from the outside looking in, maybe I'm completely off base there, but I hope that they can get the monetization model built to sustain Diablo 4, kind of like how PoE is set up, where they have this influx of money always coming in to pay their developers and support the game. And World of Warcraft has its monetization model, which will never work for another game ever, but it's subscription based, you know, thing. Like, that supports the game. That's why it's lasted so long. It's not because they sold you a $60. If they would have marketed World of Warcraft like all these other games, like what were some of the big MMOs at the time? There was another, like Age of Empires 2 came out right around there. There was another one.
It was Star Wars Galaxies, I think, came out just a little bit before them, but it got kneecapped by WoW.
People loved that game though. There was one more that I can't think of that people love too, but a lot of these games.
Yeah, there's like, well, you can go with like, you know, the EverQuest, the Aeon, the Rift, and all that other stuff.
A couple box games were like, you bought it and then it was like you had the game and there wasn't a subscription fee, and that doesn't work to support long games as a service, which is what we want Diablo to be. And I don't think it was initially developed as a service game. I think they developed it as a box game. Like, here's your game, you have it, and we're going to put some multiplayer in it. And then they kind of realized, like, oh, you know, people would keep playing this if we can keep doing stuff. So I hope D4 just has an awesome monetization model that doesn't gouge the players, it feels fair, and it supports the game going forward. So that's my big concern. When Diablo 4 stuff drops, I'm going to be super excited and freak out like everybody. But the most important thing to me is, like, what's the monetization model look like? Because that's going to make or break the game, in my opinion. Like, if that'll make or break how long it's going to be playable to me.
Yeah, so. That's definitely like, if you were talking about like top 3 concerns for Diablo 4, that's definitely one of the 3.
Yeah.
Another one for me, which I consider my biggest, and this is a easier way of saying it, is Diablo 4 cannot come off as Diablo 3.5.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It cannot.
100%, yeah.
Like, it basically can't be like Loot 3.0 and Paragon 3.0 and
I agree with you. 100%.
And Rifting 3.0. Like, it has to be fundamentally different, for better or worse, so it can be disassociated from Diablo
It's got to
3.
warrant the number 4 next to the name. It's got to look different. It's got to feel different. It's got to, like, if I put Diablo 4 next to Diablo 3 with gameplay footage, you have to instantly be like, oh my God, Diablo 4 kills it in every aspect and looks better, and just differentiate that's not even the same game. It's like if you throw PoE next to Diablo, you know it's not the same game. You're like, oh, same RPG style, but different game. That's what Diablo 4 needs to do, but it needs to take it up times 10, you know?
Yeah,
So.
and I think the last concern is just make sure there's more things to do.
Yeah,
like
more endgame.
like more endgame and more things in between, like nonsense things. Not something on the level of a WoW daily. No, fuck no, nothing like that. But like just other avenues of play that aren't desperately needed for your character to progress. Like other avenues of just play. Like they could be really small shitty things to like actual like real legit things to do. What that means, I have no idea. It's just something other to do than log into the game and say, okay, I'm rifting today, or I'm doing bounties today, or I'm doing GRs today.
Yeah, they need to design the game backwards. They need to start at the end game and say, we're going to have all these activities. How do we get to this? And I feel like a lot of games focus on the leveling process and the things that aren't as important. Like leveling is important, don't get me wrong, and that experience has to be fun and fluid to get you to the end game. But if you're asking me like how much percent of development time, like focus on end game, please. You know, once we get there, we need things to do. So
yeah.
But I agree with you, man. I hope that they can knock all those things out of the park. Let me ask this: if they add a Witcher style Diablo 4, how much of a turnoff or how much of a positive would you play it? Would you be excited, or would you be like, man, this isn't what I want?
Well,
it's like
I have very limited knowledge on The Witcher. I have seen people play
Skyrim, you know, same style. I haven't played either of them that much either. Just an over the shoulder third person, like, you know, game.
I mean, it would just be strange because I would feel like, and you know, it's what I would find strange, other people would absolutely love, because this is what I'm gonna say in brackets. I would find it weird because I would constantly have this feeling of there's something fucking behind me, like I have to kill, like something got behind me, I have to turn around and kill it, and then like the 5 things that were in front of me are gonna get, and it's gonna be infuriating. However, perspective, there would be people out there who would love that because it would bring back that sense of dread and fear, and not being like an overpowered Nephalem who's being oogaloogaed over by Tyrael. It's like, no, I'm just a nobody and I could die or be smacked around at any moment. I'm constantly on edge. Like, yeah, that's what I want. It's like, yeah, sure, fine. If I can have that feeling and have to make the sacrifice, fine. Well, I'll take it.
It's fun to play games that have high anxiety like that, but only for a little bit. I can't do it all the time. Like, I played, so there's a game called Hellblade, and I recently started playing it last week, and it is phenomenal. The game is beautiful and phenomenal and mechanically not super overly complicated, but the whole time you're like, something's gonna get me, something's gonna get me, something's gonna get me. Every corner you're like, something's gonna get me. And even though it's not like super scary like Resident Evil or something like that, but the anxiety level was so high for the whole stream. I was exhausted. 4 hours later, I'm like, I'm done. Like I'm going straight to bed. I'm exhausted from that anxiety. And then the next day, I'm like, do I want to fire it up? I'm like, man, I don't feel like stressing out the whole time. I'm gonna play something casual.
It's like watching an old Alien movie. It's like,
yeah,
like you know the alien's gonna come out of the freaking like darkness and just gonna kill that guy. You just have no idea.
Oh my gosh, it's cool. I don't want that either. I don't want it to be super scary. I was just curious, like me personally, I want Diablo 4 to be an ARPG. I want the isometric camera.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just we're used to.
Maintain that.
But you see the reports of them scrapping an idea where they were going to make a Diablo over-the-shoulder style game, and if they did scrap it, I'm glad. Honestly,
you know what that probably was. That was probably them coming to the realization that they were straying, or at least this is what I'm hoping. There we go. I'll preface it. At least what I'm hoping is that they were, in an effort to come up with the next latest and greatest version of Diablo, they had in fact strayed so far away from what made Diablo that they realized this ain't it. Scrap it. Let's go back to what it just is and just make a really fucking good game. That's what I'm hoping was basically said at that meeting when the decision was made.
I mean, we'll find out at BlizzCon. What percent do you think we're gonna get Diablo 4? Like, what's your guess? What percentage? I'm putting the pressure on you right now. What? I'm holding you to it.
Fine. How about this? So you're gonna be at BlizzCon. I'm gonna be at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
We'll go the whole gambit with Diablo as a franchise, and whoever is approximately better gets a beer out of the other person.
Okay.
All right. So since you pose this, I'll answer first. I think we're probably gonna I'm 50-50 on a Diablo 2 remaster. I think it's too close. Actually, okay, I would say Diablo 2 Remaster is probably not going to be shown this year because with Warcraft 3 still not have a release date, it's probably too close. So they're probably in crunch time with that. So Diablo 2 Remaster is probably going to be next year if I had to take a guess.
Okay.
For Diablo 3, I think we're probably going to get... I'll even go this detailed. I'm willing to bet we'll get a Barbarian just because everyone's bitching about Barbarian. So we'll see the new Barbarian set. We'll probably see a new wizard set, so all the wizards can be like, can we play a set that doesn't have a fucking Archon in it, please? Mm-hmm. And I'll say Demon Hunter. I'll say the older 3 classes, the Demon Hunter, the Wizard, and the Barbarian. Those sets will be out. They'll show those 3 as conceptual ideas, and and for actual demos for Diablo 3. I don't think we'll actually have them in the game live until sometime second quarter next year. But I think they'll just have them there so there's content for Diablo 3 to go over. They'll show off some of the new supporting legendaries along with a few newer ones for, again, probably Barbarian, whiners. And I hope a couple quality of life adjustments, as well as at least conceptually a system update that will come maybe in like 6 months from that point. So that's what I feel for Diablo 3. And then Diablo 4, God help me, it's gonna be announced. There'll be a cinematic trailer and there'll be demo on the floor.
Oh wow.
And
you just went hard you just bought me a beer.
And I'll even like fuck myself over completely. One of the classes you'll be able to play for Diablo 4 will be the Druid. So people are like, Druid, Diablo 3. Like, no. You're getting the Druid just in Diablo 4. So yeah, I'll go that. I'll go that far. It's not the full. It's not the full gambit.
So I'm gonna make you buy me something else, but you're gonna buy me a drink at BlizzCon. Okay. So what else? Is that all your predictions, or you got more?
No, and that's it. I mean, it's not the full gambit. It's not like I'm going, oh yeah, we're gonna get the remaster. We're gonna get this.
You didn't throw Diablo Immortal in there.
Oh fuck! I have to do something for that.
You don't have to. Do you think we're gonna get it or not?
Oh no,
you think they're gonna talk about it?
Oh, they'll talk about it for as much as they feel they need to give us a release date, and then that'll be it.
Okay. So I agree with a lot of what you said for Diablo 3 to this extent that I think they're going to announce the new sets at BlizzCon. And I think I didn't go into as much detail as picking the classes, but I do think they're going to reveal the sets at BlizzCon, and they're going to have a demo and they'll be playable. I agree with that 100%. As far as the demo goes, we're probably only going to get like maybe 1 or 2 classes. I think that the iconic ones, like you're saying, Barb is just, to me, one of the staples of the Diablo franchise. So we'll get Barb, and then potentially Necro. And the reason I think Necro is because that sells the expansion, and that, so I think they might showcase or put a little focus because they want those expansion sales.
200 IQ play there.
Yeah. So they're gonna showplace Necro and Barb would be my guess is what you get to play. And then but that's pretty much it. Like you're saying, maybe they're going to talk about more updates and things they're going to give us in the future. And I think those things will hit in the season following BlizzCon. So whatever patch or season comes next, I think we'll get those items. I think that'll be thrown in, at least the class sets. Diablo 4 is going to get an announcement and maybe a cinematic trailer, and that's it. No demo. No demo.
You're gonna be brave and say
none
no
of that.
demo. They're like,
No,
oh,
man.
here's this trailer.
Yeah.
Here's
I don't think they have it. I
information,
think-
but no, fuck you, no
Yeah.
demo.
I don't think they're gonna have it. I just don't. I don't think that they're far enough along, and I don't even think we're gonna get it in 2020. I think it's gonna be 2021 before it launches. So
yeah,
I think this will be the
that's the
reveal.
tough call. I couldn't
Yeah.
I couldn't fault you for that.
I think we're gonna get the announcement trailer at this BlizzCon, and next BlizzCon we'll get the demo, and then it'll launch following next BlizzCon in 2021.
Oof,
And
that's
then
rough.
yeah,
That's rough if it is. Oof.
that's the only way they can save face, because here's the thing. I think that we're gonna get the expansion announcement for World of Warcraft this BlizzCon.
Oh
Right?
no, it has to happen. Otherwise, they're like purposely gonna say, oh no, we're gonna have this like weird little shit offsite event to announce it. That's gonna have less eyes on it. And
yeah, it's gotta be so. So
no,
this
it's gonna
BlizzCon
happen.
is gonna be WoW expansion announcement, and that's gonna be the big thing at this BlizzCon to me. Unless, like I said, unless they have some crazy stuff for Diablo 4, but I don't think they want to overshadow each other, and I think that makes sense because next BlizzCon won't really have the. I mean, I don't know. It's I can flip flop this forever, but
Well,
I think that
That's why. Sorry to interrupt, but that's why last
Yeah.
year would have been perfect. And they were saying like they had something ready to go. They had this little video going, and things just kind of fell
they
apart.
pulled it last minute. Yeah,
Be-
I don't know what happened.
Because last year would have been perfect because there was no WoW expansion. Everyone knows Overwatch,
was
Heroes,
the
and
plan,
Hearthstone
I think
were
I
all
think
in like
that's why
their
they-
cycles and
they-
everything.
the fires are burning hot announcement that Brandy
Mhm.
made, I think was for D4. I think that was like, dude, we're gonna do it. Let's put this out. Sold the tickets. They were like, oh shit, we can't do this. Something happened. I don't know what. Like they found some major bugs in the code. They like something happened, right?
We
I don't know
fumble
what.
Ruskit on the 1 yard line. Take it back. Take it back.
Something happened, and they tried to retract it, and then it just became what it was. They're like, dude, we got to have something. We said this fires are burning hot. We got Diablo on the main stage. Well, we had an Immortal segment. Let's just make that the whole thing. And I don't think that was the plan going into it. So we'll see. But yeah, Diablo 4 will be announced. We're going to get a trailer. And then Diablo 3 sets to hold us off. And then they're going to briefly, like you said, touch Immortal with a 10-foot pole. Like, hey, by the way, Diablo Immortal's releasing in October 17th. And then just walk off the stage. So,
All
but
right. Yeah. Alrighty then. So, well, in an effort to make this a short show, this is now the longest show that I have done so far. No, it always works out that
Oops.
way. But whatever. Whatever. My wife's not saying, "Are you done yet? Can I?"
Yeah,
go?"
she's not mad at you.
No.
Come
it's
on.
fine.
So
This is all.
Yeah,
This is
man.
all planned and scheduled out in advance. Anyway, so
thanks for inviting me and having me on.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
yeah. So before I do the show thing, I'm gonna let you do your thing. Where can people find you? What projects are you doing?
Yeah, if you're
Where can
watching
people
this
find you?
live, you can see ThaPchild underneath me. But you can find me everywhere at ThaPchild. It's ThaPchild. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Discord, everywhere. So at ThaPchild.
All right. So, with that, outro. So, if you would like to find the show on the World Wide Web, bring it back, old school, classic, gotta love it. You can find us at scytheandshield.com. If you'd like to email the show, questions, concerns, feedback, or just to say hi, you can do that at scytheandshield@gmail.com. If you'd like to follow the show on Twitter, that is Scythe and Shield. And if you'd like to listen to the show, you can find it on the YouTubes, the Apples, the Googles, and the Spotifys. I know everyone's cringing right now. I love it. And if you want to interact with people in the community, suggest future episode guests or suggest questions for those future guests, you can join the Discord. The links are on the website. And if you'd like to get in contact with myself on Twitter, that would be @DreadScythe on Twitter. Also, and I keep on forgetting to state this, if you could, and you like the show and you want to leave feedback on Apple reviews, by all means go do so. And if I find new ones, I will read it out on the show right before the outro. As a thank you for taking your time, I will take some of my time on the show to read your review. Other than that, folks, keep on hacking and slashing those demons. Stay safe. Have a good night.